The agenda, approve the agenda.
I'll make it.
Second.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Burkhauer,
Yes.
Holkenberg.
Yes. Now I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on May 8th, 2018.
Second.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Burkhauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Holkenberg.
Yes. This one, you have public comment. Anybody like to have any public comment at this time?
Can I make a comment here? A week from Saturday at the Life Center, 1 to 4, Kathy and I are celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary and everybody's invited.
She get a Purple Heart yet?
She's got about 3 of them.
Well, congratulations.
Very good, Ron. Okay, next is our guest. We have a Dana Lewis, University of Illinois Extension.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Dana Lewis, and I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm new in town, new to the position. I took over at the end of April when Kathy Reiser was our former county director. So I am charged with leading our office here in Cumberland, and I am really happy to be here and be a part of the community. In the short time that I've been here, I've learned about the support that Cumberland has given us in a number of different ways. So thank you, I appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward to building a partnership with the community members here in Cumberland. So with that being said, we've got a few updates, a few things going on this summer that we want to tell you about. We are now taking applications for the Master Naturalist Program, and that's a new program put on by the University of Illinois, and you can apply, and the classes are on Tuesdays from in September and October. So if you're interested in learning more about botany, environmental ethics, soil, forestry, we'd love to have you at that. The Dean of the College of ACES from the University of Illinois will be touring our unit in our community on July 6th. We are having a lunch with community members, and we would love to invite everyone here. It's going to be July 6th at noon, and it's going to be at Flesser's candy store in Tuscola. So we're going to have her there at the candy store. So I would like to invite everyone. Our family life educator, Sherry Burcham, is going to be teaching brain fitness at the Life Center in Toledo. It's the fourth Friday at 10:30. And then summer is out, which means it's fair time. It also means we're getting ready for the big barbecue, our 50th annual barbecue. And I have Jalen here to talk about that. And just one other announcement, our office is going to be opening Monday through Friday. Right now we are closed on Fridays, but in the fall we will be open on Fridays as well. So thank you for having me. I look forward to getting to know everyone here and working with you all. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dana.
Yes. So my name's Jalen. I'm the county EPC, and I've got a couple of boys here with me tonight.
I'm Wyatt Brent.
I'm Jaron Maxey. I'm Cash Hurst.
And I just want to kind of fill you in on a couple of 4-H things we have happening. This year is our 50th annual barbecue, so we're celebrating 50 years of serving you. We're going to have inflatables provided by the Chamber of Commerce. In Greenup, we're going to have kids pedal tractor pull. We're going to have a cornhole tournament. We're going to have pictures from the past 50 years. So if you were a family relative, probably has a picture somewhere in my storage shed. And then we're going to recognize royalty from the past. I don't know when it started yet, so if anybody can fill me in, we're trying to figure out when the royalty for Cumberland County 4-H started. So we got a lot of things happening. I have a goal of serving 1,000 people this year. So there's 5,000 people, so if I can get a fifth of Cumberland County to come out, we'll be happy. So we're also celebrating the fair. This year we have our miscellaneous show on July 12th, and then our livestock fair starts the 19th, and it runs through the 24th up at the Coles County Fairgrounds. This year we're doing something different. We've got a poultry night, where we're going to have poultry exhibitors come out to Genesis Aviaries in Neoga. That's going to take place, and the kids are going to learn about poultry, more about exotic birds, because they have over 40 different types of birds out there that they're going to be exhibiting. And then I think I talked about this a little bit, but we're having a shooting sports program starting up this fall. We'll have archery, air pistol, and air rifle start up this fall. Still looking for a coordinator, so if anybody's interested or knows somebody that was really good with kids and with outdoor shooting, that would be great. So I'll let the boys talk for a minute.
And we just want to thank you for your support of Cumberland County 4-H, and that we could not do what we do without you guys.
And with our appreciation, we have tickets for our barbecue, so you guys can come out and enjoy hanging out with us and having some good barbecue.
I done bought tickets, now what do I do?
Now you got an extra one, you can
Bring
take it
people,
home.
bring people.
Thank you, sir.
We also have a drive up, so feel free to come through the drive through.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's on the
Appreciate
north
it.
side.
Thank you.
It's on the north side of the church. I think that's how that works. So,
And we hope to see you on the 30th to help us celebrate 50 years of serving you.
okay, turn around and say it. Now turn around and say it. Say it again. Yep. Now it's talking to them.
Hey, he was
Okay.
riding off in the sunset.
Yeah, it is.
We hope to see you on the 30th to help us celebrate 50 years of serving you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Yes. Oh, sorry.
No problem. I was just curious with the Cumberland County Fair moving up prior to the state fair this year. I understand this year it couldn't work out, but next year will 4-H be able to participate in Cumberland County's fair?
I can't answer that question. It's not a decision I make personally. It's a decision I have 23 leaders that make.
Sure,
And the youth
absolutely.
thing. So every year we put it to a vote, and that's what happens. So it's something that's made as a joint collective decision among superintendents and leaders and thoroughly discussed before any action's ever taken. So, but, yeah, so I can't answer that question right now, but we always discuss
I'm sure it would
so.
be nice to have 4-H back at the fair.
So. Does
Thank
anybody
you.
have any other questions?
Will you bring your lemonade stand back to the fair?
Don't, I can ask, like, we can try, we can try. So, and now that the.
No, that's a job.
There's a lot goes into it, but there's a lot of good memories down there too. So I did it as a kid and with Cindy Moses, so, but. Does anybody else have any other questions? Any other things I can bring back to the fair for you guys? So, okay,
Thank you, Joe.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
All right, next we have Nick. Nick, have an audit with us today.
All right, I know you guys have been waiting for this. My name is Nick Sabinauer. I'm an auditor with Gilbert, Metzger, and Madigan over in Charleston. And everybody should have a copy of the Blue Bound reports. This is their financial statements for the year ending November 30th, 2017. So for this particular year, this was not a single audit, as the county did not spend more than $750,000 in federal monies. That's kind of been the trend in the past couple of years. It has not been a single audit, but it's possible we might have a single audit next year. This was what we call a yellow book audit. So there's some additional compliance testing that we had to do this year. And the reason it was a yellow book audit is because there's certain grants that the county has that requires that. And there's actually some new reporting requirements that went into place this past year. It's called the Illinois Grant Accountability and Transparency Act. And basically the new requirement is if you spend more than $300,000 of federal and state money, you're required to have a yellow book audit. So it doesn't really affect you guys, as you guys were always required to have that audit, but it affects smaller governments that didn't have that requirement in past years. If everyone want to turn to page 1 and page 2 of that.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you want to wait until the end?
No, go ahead.
You said that next year we may not be having to do the audit for the Fed because of,
You might have to.
we may have to,
Right.
that we may get more than 700,000.
$750,000. I guess we haven't determined if that's gonna be the requirement yet. I probably need to talk to Ben to see if he's gonna get the grant money that might put us over the top.
Okay, so it'd be through Ben if we get it.
Right, usually you guys are around $250,000, $300,000 in federal money, mostly from the health department. But if you guys receive enough kind of an unusual grant that you normally don't get of federal monies, that might push you guys over the 750 number.
Okay,
And basically, there's just additional testing that we have to do on those federal programs.
right.
So I don't know that we've determined if that's gonna be needed next year or not, but it's a possibility. So if you guys turn to page 1 and page 2, this is actually the report that we issue on the financial statements, where we provide our opinion on whether or not the financial statements are fairly stated. And if you look at the top of page 2, we got an opinion paragraph, and that's where we actually give our opinion. And you can see that we basically state that we believe the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with the modified cash basis of the county. So that's the type of opinion you guys would want to see in an audit. And that's the type of opinion we've had pretty much ever since we've been doing the audit. If you guys go ahead and turn to page 3. So because this is a yellow book audit, we have to look at your guys' internal controls over financial reporting and on compliance. And then we issue this report and we identify any findings that we may see. And we do have a couple findings to report this year. On the top of page number 4, we have 2017-001 financial statement preparation. That's a finding that we've had every year since we've done the audit. And basically what we're saying there is the county doesn't have proper review process in place to know if there's an error in the financial statements. So what you guys have us do is we actually prepare the financial statements, and then it's almost like we're auditing our own work. Ideally, what you'd want to do is you guys would prepare the financial statements, and then we would come in and audit it. But because you guys don't have anyone with the training to do that, you guys kind of rely on us to do it. And that, like I said, it's been a repeat finding that we've had every year. And so far, it's not an issue to have that finding. The state hasn't indicated that that's going to be a problem. But if they do indicate that that's an issue, we'll address that going forward. If you go down a little bit, you have the second finding that we titled custodial credit risk. When we were doing the testing of your cash deposits with First Neighbor Bank, we discovered that those cash deposits weren't fully covered by FDIC or pledged collateral. You guys are required to have your full cash deposits covered by either federal insurance or the bank will pledge collateral to cover those deposits. One of the months that we tested was June, and we found that basically you guys were undercovered by about $1.1 million. And then we also tested November 30th, and we found that the 911 deposits were undercovered by about $15,000. So you can see kind of right below that where we have the views of responsible officials. And this is the corrective action plan that I kind of went through with Joellen on how we were going to fix that going forward. And she's kind of already contacted the bank and gotten them to increase their collateral or letter of credit that would cover your deposits. So basically what happened was you guys and the bank were not monitoring the cash deposits to make sure that they were fully covered. So that's why we're bringing it to your attention that someone needs to be paying attention to your cash deposits to make sure that they're fully covered. And I think Joellen's going forward is going to be looking at that probably monthly. And we brought it to the attention of the bank that they need to be looking at this more closely. And really the bank should have been looking at this all along. Not sure why they weren't looking at this more closely.
Yeah, I assume anytime you deal with a bank, I was told it was covered by how much money you put in the bank.
No.
No, you're right.
250,000 is the federal insurance, and then what the bank does is they pledge assets that they have to cover your other cash deposits over the 250. But what they didn't have enough pledged collateral to cover those deposits. But they kind of work with you guys to tell you that they're going to do that, so you keep the money with that bank.
Right.
So it just wasn't being monitored, so that's why we're bringing it to your attention.
Have you talked with Donna Olmsted also?
No, I kind of just talked to Joellen, and I think she's gonna.
It's covered. We increased it enough to cover us that our peak, because June, when Nick audited
Yeah.
it, June 30th,
That
that
was
was
the
our
peak.
peak.
Yeah, that's a bad time to audit.
Well, that's why we chose. So the treasurer's office kind of holds the 911
Yeah.
cash basically. So I think they're aware of it.
Okay.
So does the bank cover the expense for the extra coverage, or do they just charge us less, or pay us less interest,
No,
or?
we don't pay any.
There's no charge that I'm aware of,
No, we don't pay.
no direct charge.
They just like having money.
Exactly. And then the third finding we have is at the bottom of page 4. We're required to do certain tests in the circuit clerk's office. And one of the tests we do is make sure that they're assessing fees correctly on the different cases that they have. And when we did that test this year, we found a couple deviations, and where the total amount assessed on the case was correct, just the allocation between the different fees was incorrect. So I've kind of worked with Rhonda about that, and she's kind of written her response there at the bottom on how she plans on fixing that going forward, so we don't have those issues. But it really was kind of a minor issue this year, but we went ahead and reported it as a finding to bring it to your attention.
Thank you.
So those are the 3 findings that we have this year. Actually, turning to the financial information, if you turn to page number 8. So this is the statement of assets, liabilities, and fund balance. And you can see across the top there, we have listed each of the major funds of the county. And then we kind of have an other governmental funds column. That's where we just group together all the smaller funds for the county. And then the detail for those smaller funds is provided starting on page 40 in the back. But the county ended the fiscal year with $5.1 million in cash in total. And then you can see the component unit, which is the 911, had an additional $647,000 in cash. So that's, the total county cash is up about $46,000 from the prior fiscal year. So not a big increase.
Could you say that again?
Yeah, so the county had $5.1 million in cash at November 30th.
And
That's
what
about
funds?
$46,000 higher than November 30th of 16.
So we're only 46,000 higher.
Yeah, the cash position is $46,000. You guys actually performed better than that. If you remember last year when I did the audit, the state had incorrectly paid you guys $165,000. So that was in last year's cash number. So you guys repaid that $165,000 this year, reducing your cash by $165,000. So I'll get into your receipts exceeding your disbursements in a second, and how that increased your cash position. And just looking at the general fund, I'd like to point out the general fund. You had just over $3 million in cash in the general fund at November 30th. That's about $204,000 less than what you had last year. Again, that $165,000 is the big reason for the huge drop in cash in general.
But then we've lost 40,000 in the general fund.
Yeah, I'll explain.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
That's okay. Well, I can explain that right now.
I'm just trying to get it in my head.
Yeah, basically, the $165,000 was repaid. You guys had an interfund loan with another fund, so $25,000 had to be paid out of general into the other fund. And then you guys actually had disbursements exceeding receipts this year by the remainder of that. So that explains why general fund cash decreased so much this year. The last number I want to point out is towards the bottom of that page. Under fund balance, you can see we have unassigned. And under the general fund column, you can see it's $2.2 million. That's basically all of the general fund monies that are unrestricted. So you guys can use that money however you guys see fit. And that was just a small increase from the prior year of $7,000. So turning to page 11. So this is where we actually provide the detail on the receipts and disbursements for the county. And again, we list all the major funds of the county across the top there. And on page 12, you'll see a row called net change in fund balance. And And you can see in the total governmental funds column, you guys had an increase of about $211,000, where your receipts actually exceeded your disbursements by $211,000. And you can see that for all of the major funds, receipts exceeded disbursements except for the general fund, which had a deficit of $8,500. So all the other funds did have an increase where the receipts were higher than the disbursements. So in the general fund, the reason, if you guys look at last year's financial statements, I don't know if you guys remember me reporting on that, but you guys had a huge increase where receipts exceeded disbursements. And I kind of explained to you guys at the time that in 2016, you guys received extra money from the state where they delayed payments from FY15. So if you guys try to compare 16 to 17, you're going to see a huge profit in 16 and a small loss in 17. Part of that reason is that $100,000 in extra money last year. And then I think you guys purchased 2 vehicles for the sheriff's department in this current fiscal year, which was
Two
between,
used ones, wasn't it, Steve?
was one new and one used? I think it was between $40,000 and $50,000. So that decreased, or increased your disbursements, which was helped show a loss of the $8,500. So that's kind of the reason you guys are showing $8,500 loss this year. I also wanted to point out the information on the health department. You can see that receipts exceeded disbursements by $17,000. Again, if you were to look at last year's numbers, you're going to see receipts exceeding disbursements by $91,000. So we have a big change again. And the reason for that is in 2016, they sold the old building for I think about $25,000. So that increased what we're looking at last year. And then they had some delays in the grant money that they were receiving, and they actually did receive fewer grants this year. So that's why the health department looks a lot worse this year compared to last year. And then the last one I want to point out was the Social Security and IMRF fund. You can see that receipts exceeded disbursements by close to $58,000. If you to look at 2016, you actually would see a loss of $34,000. So the reason it's looked so much better this year is you guys had that extra SLEP enhancement payment of $67,000 last year. So that's what caused that big loss last year. And then I think in 2017, you guys actually had an increase in the Social Security tax levy, I believe, which increased your receipts this year. So that's why it looks so much better this year compared to last year.
Okay.
So beginning on page 15, that's where we actually provide a comparison between the actual receipts and disbursements and what you guys budgeted. So I won't go into detail on all that, but that basically covers all the major funds. So it goes from page 15 through page 24. So you guys can kind of go through that on your own time. And then beginning on page 26 is where we actually have the notes to the financial statements. That just provides additional information to you guys on some detail from the financial numbers that we kind of just went through. We did have one change this year. There was a new governmental accounting standard that we had to implement, which required us to disclose all of the tax abatements that you guys currently have. So if you turn to page 39, you'll see in the middle of the page, note K, tax abatement. So basically, we just disclosed the 2 abatements that you guys currently have, and basically the reduction in receipts for the county by having those abatements. That was the only real change to the notes that we had this year. So the notes go from page 26 through 39. And then beginning on page 40 is where we have the detailed information on the smaller funds of the county. So that's a quick run through of the audit. If you guys have time, go through the numbers on your own, and if there's any questions, let me know. I'll be glad to explain things further. Were there any questions?
So in all funds, we gained 200,000,
Correct. Receipts exceeded disbursements by 200,000.
but in our general fund, it was only 40 or 60 or something like that.
In the general fund, you actually had a loss of 8,500.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Would a lot of that be from the highway department?
Yeah, pretty much
Was
the
that a
bulk.
guess?
No, that's a good guess. The bulk of that $200,000 came from the highway department.
Okay.
I think there was a final payment on the Center Line Road project. And then I think there was an additional grant money that you guys received, the program money that you guys received.
Probably.
Sumter Township Bridge Program.
Mhm.
So that's why things look pretty good this
Yeah,
year.
that helps.
In total.
Okay, the whole county looking at it, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Just keep getting those grants and we'll make us look good. Please.
Doing the best.
I have no questions, I think, you gave this impression it looks fairly good.
Yeah, it's, tried to point out that it's gonna be hard to compare this year to last year.
Okay.
It's the cash basis of accounting, that's the way things go. Things can look really good one year and pretty bad the next.
That don't mean it'll be good for next year though, does it?
No.
You can't predict next year.
Can't predict next year. I did have one other topic to discuss with you guys, and I don't know if this has been brought up at a board meeting or not. The Illinois Comptroller's Office has decided they're no longer accepting cash basis audits beginning in FY19. Now, this upset a lot of people, and I guess they were talking to their state representatives. So the House and Senate have passed a bill to allow the cash basis of accounting to continue to be used. But the way things are now, you guys would have to switch to the accrual basis of accounting. But it looks like things will get passed where you guys wouldn't have to make that switch.
If they pass it, then we may get by with a cash basis.
You basically grandfathered in where you can continue to use the cash basis.
Okay.
But the way things sit right now is you guys would have to make that switch.
Okay, we'll wait and see what happens then.
Yeah, I hate to predict what the state's gonna do.
Okay,
I don't-
we like our cash basis, I think we do, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think most of us understand the cash basis versus
Yeah.
accrual a lot more.
switching to the accrual,
Is it more complicated, or
Oh.
would we know any more?
probably you guys wouldn't know anymore. It's a lot more complicated on us,
Yeah,
and a lot more costly for you.
yeah.
So it makes more sense for you guys to continue on the cash basis, really.
All right.
So if you guys have any questions, just give me a call. I'm always available.
All righty, Nick, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Very good. Next order of business is to adopt a prevailing wage ordinance for 2018. Did we ever set the prevailing wage number?
It's as of September last year, is the way it's going.
I saw one city did not pass theirs, and for that reason, because they didn't set it yet, so, I don't know. What time do we have this, is there a certain deadline for setting the wage? You know
I
that?
believe it's
Cindy?
now.
Yeah, we're up against the deadline.
Okay, so, it's in our packet, there is some of this, we looked at it.
And it has to be done, I mean, it's just the state forces us to do it.
Yeah, it's silly voting on it.
What's that?
It's silly voting on it.
It really is silly voting on it because we have to do it.
They just like to make him mad.
What's that?
They just like to make him mad.
I never liked to do it when I was a school superintendent,
Yeah.
let alone.
Kyle makes a motion. I'll second.
Okay, Carr,
Yes.
Burkbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
No.
Holcomb,
Yes. Motion passed, all righty. Next order of business. Need motion to appoint Sherry Droder to the Special Service Area Board as a Sumter Township representative. I don't I don't remember who was on there from the place.
I think last month someone resigned, didn't
Lee,
they?
Lee Pennington.
Lee Pennington.
Okay, right, got you. So,
I'll make it.
I'll second that.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Parr,
yes.
Holcomb.
Yes. Okay, next order of business, we'll discuss county hiring a resource officer for the Cumberland Unit Number 77 School District. I had a small meeting, me and Ron Black had a meeting with Todd Butler, superintendent, and they are concerned about the school shootings we're having in the state and the county and the country. So they are gonna be proactive and try to hire a police, well, I guess it would actually be an officer, probably a police officer, but it has to be done through the, they actually don't have the ability to do that, being they have to carry a gun inside the building, so supposedly our sheriff's department could hire someone to do that, and they would reimburse us for most of the expenses.
They're talking about a couple of retirees, looking at a couple of retirees to do it, but we will have to, or the sheriff's department will have to hire them. When you hire deputies or retired people, do we have to okay the, or do you just hire them?
Typically, no.
Okay.
It's more it's the arrangement that I think you would be agreeing to. It's not like a contract, but I kind of seems like it is a contract. If the sheriff or the county board has authority to contract with other entities for policing, and I looked at this as kind of like that. So the sheriff can't do it without the board, and the board can't do it without the sheriff, the way I understand the law, tries to keep it simple, but I think either party could nix it, basically, but, so this is, in that respect, I think this is more like an agreement between two entities. It could be a city, it could be a school, it could be
Well, it can't be.
but typically the sheriff's department, whoever's running it, the sheriff would hire the people.
The way I understand it, it can't be the city because the school is not in town.
Jurisdictionally, it's out in the county.
Yeah, so it would be up to the county to have that.
And I think if the school had its way, they would have done it separately, but they can't. So
Right.
that's why we're where we're at here, so.
And he mentioned that he was thinking and that the federal government may be coming up with some dollars to.
There could be
help
some grant money down the pipe that could change the complexion of what we're doing here completely. You know, it might be the sheriff might want to, if grant money is available in this, between the school and the sheriff's department, and, you know, maybe they can come up with maybe a full-time employee to do it, but I think the cost savings of having a couple guys retired, you got a little less overhead involved, and I think that was the thought process.
But I think though, I don't see where you're gonna have a whole lot of less overhead, because if you have retired officers.
You're not paying, well, with retired officers, but I'm saying if you had a full-time situation, you might have retirement expenses and that sort of thing, so.
Yeah.
Insurance possibly, and health insurance, for instance.
They basically go two part-time people rather than
Right.
one full-time person. There's one of the part of the savings right there.
Right. And they don't pay the retirement costs and the health insurance costs.
Right.
There's two big ones.
So what's the hours you have to stay under here, 1,000 hours?
Depends on depends on how the individuals were originally hired, but it could be a $5.99 or $9.99. For the county employees, anybody that, I think both guys that we're looking at would be the $5.99. That's why the two of them could pretty much stretch out the whole year that way. They'd have somebody out there pretty much all the time.
And that's how many hours they can work without messing their
Right,
retirement.
they can't work longer or they're penalized. That's on them, not on the,
Right.
I think they have to, if you go back to work, and I've checked it out, if I went back to work December 1st for an IMRF employer, I can only work, I can't work over 600 hours. I have to be, so 599 is the number everybody throws out. So you have to contact IMRF, had a conversation with them today. I or whoever would have to contact IMRF, tell them they're working for this employer, and then it's kind of up to the individual to keep track of his hours, and then at the end of the year, and his year starts when he gets hired for that, in this case, the school, that runs around till that begin date, if it were December 1st, let's say. So in that 365-day period, if he works over 599, he's penalized. And there has to be a record of that. That's the way I understood it today in my conversation with, because I didn't quite understand it, and I wanted to make sure I did understand it, so.
Because you knew the question would come up, didn't you?
I knew it would come up.
So where does the liability fall? Say something did happen to one of the
It'd
officers.
be county.
It'd be no different, it's no different than a part-time employee, a part-time deputy, which we'd like to have more.
Right.
We can't get enough guys.
I think
And
someone. had
it's no
contacted-
different than that. I mean, you're liable for all of them, even if
Okay.
they're in a part-time basis, ultimately. Does that cost the county more or not? I can't answer that, I don't know.
That's a nicer question then.
Didn't somebody contact the insurance company about that? Okay, so what,
Well, they gave me like the current work comp rate, and they said liability would probably be about $1,000.
We don't calculate that on any other employee we hire. But for this instance, if there's a reimbursement, I think that was the purpose of trying to get some kind of number, even
yeah,
if it's
exactly.
not completely accurate, but
Sheriff, you know anybody retiring December 1st?
I do. And I'll be honest with you, I was approached, just so y'all know, I don't think it's a secret, but before the sheriff's office ever got involved in it, because I think they wanted to do it on their own, and they can't. There may be, that law may change at some point too, because there's a lot of talk about a lot of things, but this is the only way they can go forward, whoever it is. I'm not accepting any position, so, and anybody else has either, I don't think, officially, but it could be anybody. And retirement, a retired officer makes the most sense. I mean, that's just.
Training and everything's already there.
Yeah, there might be some training they might have to get specific to that, but it wouldn't amount to too much, I don't think. I don't think it's mandatory, but it might be a good idea, but Ben's on the board, I don't know how much he knows about it, but.
We've been looking at it for quite some time. And
The hope is there'll be more money at some point. The state or the federal government or whoever it is.
I mean, from our perspective, we were looking at it as basically a pass-through from the county to the sheriff's department. And, I mean, we're fully aware of what cost. I mean, I'm one person on the board, but I think the consensus was that whatever that cost was passed, that we would pick up. I mean, we felt that it was important enough. I mean, with what's went on in the past 2 years, it can happen anywhere in the country, and we're trying to be proactive on it.
Happened back too.
And these guys would be employed by the sheriff, would be their boss. And if he didn't like what they were doing, he could give them the heave-ho. Because they would be at-will employees, there's no contract over them or,
They would be strictly for this.
Right, and because of the hours, they couldn't do anything else because there's not enough hours. We're stretching the hours anyway, because the two guys put together actually falls a little bit short of the actual hours needed to cover every day, but every hour, but it's going to be really close.
And
So,
something else that came up is a timeline, okay? We're discussing it tonight. If we do anything, we're going to have to act next month because the school also has to act.
yeah, 16th
And
is the first day of school.
Then, the following month, the school starts. So we can't wait until the first day of school and hire those resource officers, if you're gonna call them that or whatever, because we're gonna need them on the first day of school. And that gives us a little time to get somebody, it gives the school some time to say, okay, we like that guy or we don't like that guy, and do that. So we do have a timeline. And tonight we're just discussing it, and you know, I think we need to find out if we can't take a vote, but with people saying, you know, either having a positive outlook on it or a negative outlook, we'll kind of know where everybody stands and whether we can go forward next board meeting.
I think it's a great idea.
I just got 3 questions.
Go ahead, Todd.
Will there be a car involved?
No, I don't, not to my knowledge, it's just personal vehicles to get to the facility, and that's the understanding I have.
Okay. Second question, like Lakeland College has a police department. What makes them different than like a Cumberland school? Is there much difference between the university and the school, the reason they've got it?
That's a good question, but I don't know, that's a good question.
Don't they cruise
They-
the campus and?
They probably, there may be some, things they can do that a local school can't do, I don't know, that's a good question.
Effingham's got one too, provided by the county.
And third
Typically in a high school or in a, I don't know what you call them, kindergarten through 12, it's law enforcement that provides the security. I don't know exactly why, but
I don't think
There's
campus
probably
police
something.
has the same authority either.
What's
I
that?
don't think campus police would have the same authority, and most of them don't carry any firearms.
Well, I think Lakeland carries firearms.
Eastern does, and Lakeland
Eastern
does.
police carry firearms. But nevertheless, the third question would be, what about like the Neoga school? I mean, would they be under the city of Neoga then?
that would be my thought.
Or are we gonna have to be concerned that we're gonna have to supply
They've not,
2 schools?
and I don't know, as far as I know, they've
I think
not,
the way it's set up right now, that the school, if it's in that town provides it.
not necessarily, because the sheriff's department in Effingham did, Effingham City, the schools in town there.
Yeah, but that'd be the sheriff's.
The
oh,
sheriff's department has jurisdiction in the whole county, no matter where.
Okay.
The city guys don't, and that's, but it's not always, I don't think it, because Effingham City's taking over the Effingham school, the schools there in town.
It used to be
They're-
county.
But it was county until recent, and there's a swap, I guess. I don't know what T-Topless is doing, they've had a part-time one, I think, and they may be trying to get more too, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Typically, it's within that jurisdiction makes the most sense.
It's not really a concern to the county, because if it's a swap of money, it's not costing us anything anyway, but
Right.
I just didn't wanna leave them out, you know?
And they've not approached, they've not said anything to me. I don't know if they've talked to the chief there or not.
Any other comments? Questions? Well, I think it's a good idea. You know, something needs to be done about this school shooting, but I don't know if it's gonna solve the problem or not. I don't know. I thought they ought to have the idea of maybe a minister come in and talk to these kids once a week, maybe. That would do much good as anything.
Well,
We
Parkland,
will.
you know, Parkland, Florida had a guy on duty, and they still had a shooting, so.
Yeah, I mean, they could still have shooting you with an officer on duty, but it's, I think you're doing the right thing, Ben, to
Arm
make
the
an attempt to
teachers.
say, make it safer.
That's what I'd say, arm the teachers.
I don't like that either.
They're there
No.
to teach.
I don't like that at all. Anyway, that's
They're
how
not
it is.
the county militia.
So, we will hopefully be in favor of this the next meeting to go ahead with it, but we'll wait and see you next meeting. All right? Next order of business. I was wanting to discuss, putting the surveillance cameras outside of the health department building. We do have the camera system done, complete in this building, with 4 cameras in this building that started the last couple days ago, so we do have surveillance in this building. And I was talking to Sherry Drover about maybe putting them outside the health department building, and earlier she wasn't real sure whether we could legally do that, but last time I talked, I thought she said they could do it outside, they can't be inside, so. She, I think, would be willing to, didn't have a problem with it, I think we legally can do that. I would like to motion to purchase another surveillance camera system for that building.
What does this system cost here?
Oh, we are locked in $600, correct? I think it was almost $550 or something like that. The bill was in the bills today.
We got 2,500 back or something like that, didn't we?
No, that was for the courthouse.
Was that just for the courthouse?
Just for the
or
courthouse.
here?
Just for the court. No.
Well, are they
We're
going
not-
to,
Apply for it, aren't we? We're gonna turn these in?
Not really.
Well, it doesn't hurt to try.
yeah, he just said one a year, I think, or something like that.
I thought we saved for the big one. Anyway,
We need it in the sheriff's department, yes, I agree.
but that's a big deal. So anyway, any other comments on it? It's similar to the same system here, a 4-camera system with probably 3 cameras out there, 2 or 3, I'm not sure how it'll end up. So would anyone be willing to make that motion?
You're saying the cost's gonna be similar to the one we just did?
It would be the same or less. Should be the same. I assume the same. That's what would be my opinion.
They end up turning out pretty nice.
I saw it on Bev's phone here just before the meeting, and they're fairly clear. Not quite as good as what you know, sometimes you don't know, but, and we may adjust the cameras a little bit, and if they don't quite like it, so. I think they'll do the job for what we want. Not a big investment in my opinion, and
I'll make it.
I'll second.
All right, Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Holcomb.
yes. Okay, that's all the old business I've got, I think. Bev?
Okay, we just need a motion to approve the county clerk and tax redemption reports for May of 2018.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Black,
Yep.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes.
Okay, and then next we have, I need a motion to approve the county clerk tax redemption 6-month reports.
Make a motion.
I'll second
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes. All that. Joellen?
As you guys know, tax bills were mailed. Our due dates are July 6th and September 7th. So we're getting pretty many coming in
But
already.
she didn't mail mine to me.
And I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for May.
You're gonna pay it anyway, right, Ron?
No, Ron Blake's gonna pay it, doggone
Okay. All right, who wants to make that motion?
I'll make it.
check with me now too also. I need
I'll make it.
Luke second. All right, Carr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes.
That's good.
That all you got, Joellen?
Yes, that's it.
Ben Bland,
I make a motion to approve the highway bills for May.
$69,955.49.
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Luke,
second.
second.
Okay, Bergbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Abstain.
Carr,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes. Anything else, Ben?
Nope, that's all I got, thank you.
All righty, thank you. Sherry Droder's not here. Rhonda Wilson, anything?
Just briefly, and I'll elaborate on it more later, but there is some legislation, the last I checked, it was sitting on the governor's desk for signature that will be implemented, I believe, in in the next year, so sometime maybe mid-19, that's going to change the assessment of fines and fees and standardize it more so across the state, so it's also going to change the amounts that are coming in. So if that gets signed, there's good and bad with that, so that'll be something that will be considered with the July budget meeting information, so.
Fees going up, down.
just changing. It's really, I haven't studied it enough to really see exactly how it will, how much it's gonna impact us, but it will make a bit of a change, and it decreases the number of places that disbursements go out, and like what is assessed per different charges and so forth, so I'll, look into that more, see if it's signed, and then bring more information back to you guys so that you can be prepared for the impact of that, specifically with our office and then the county as a whole, so
All right.
it's changing. That's it.
Okay, Rhonda, thank you. Mackenzie?
I need a motion to appoint Johnny St. John to the Board of Review.
Is he on there now?
Yeah.
So you're reappointing just for a 2-year term? Okay.
So it's reappointing, not appointing.
Yeah.
That's it, reappoint on that.
Yeah.
I make the motion.
Second.
Okay, Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Birdbauer,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes.
Okay, and I need a motion to approve our 6-month reports.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Birdbauer,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes. Al Mackenzie?
Yes.
Thank you. Steve Ozier?
I need a motion to approve the 6-month report. I hope you have it.
Yes, thank you.
Who wants to make that motion?
I got a question on that real quick. On mileage, what is that?
Where you at, Todd?
In service?
That's probably mileage for, when we serve civil process, you serve it. You have a fee for service and then you have a mileage fee. It's a separate. There's also mileage fees on there for like frequent transport and that sort of thing, so. But you can have on there. It's just a lot of different types of fees that we charge for different types of, most of that's civil service stuff and some copies and that sort of stuff, so.
Okay. 6 months report. Who wants to make that motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Birdbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes.
That's
All,
all.
Steve?
Thank you.
Very good. Ryan Robbins is not here, however, he has requested a credit card with the First Neighbor Bank.
He did that last month too, he wasn't here. We put him on hold.
Sounds pretty serious, doesn't it? Supposedly, it's not on this motion for $2,000. Oh, okay, it's on page 30. Credit limit of $2,000. So I'd like to have a motion to adopt a resolution to authorize the Office of State's Attorney to open a credit card with First Neighbor Bank with a $2,000 limit.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Carr,
Yes.
Birdbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes.
We'll have to use your help somewhere.
John Braden's not here.
Well, see, mom, Danny, I got my phone.
Steve Sherwood?
I have nothing.
Thank you, Steve. Don Olmsted's not here. Mark Howard's not here. Well, now I need a motion to ratify payment of manual bills in the amount of $61,732.98.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Birdbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Holcomb.
Yes. Now I need a motion to approve the payment of invoices in the amount of $50,648.70.
I'll make
second
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Colkenbrink.
Yes. County motion to approve payroll number 10 in the amount of $75,271.73.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Colkenbrink.
Yes. I need a motion to approve payroll number 11 in the amount of $76,953.41.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Beard,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Colkenbrink.
Yes. Well, I need a motion to adjourn.
I have one other thing I forgot to tell you guys.
Hold
You
on.
guys all know, I'm sure, that Jenny in my office is expecting. And Bez's been kind enough, she's going to, let me use Brenda, why Jenny's gonna be going on maternity leave, so we don't have to hire someone else.
Okay.
When's this gonna happen? No,
Well, she's
I'm,
due the middle of September, my second due date.
yeah, that's what I was wondering,
Yes, and then
how
I
the
got
due
my
date.
tax sale and, yeah, we got year end and it's gonna be like pretty stressful.
She sure planned that wrong
I
for
know,
us.
I don't think it was planned from the get-go. But hopefully everything goes on schedule, you know, I mean, she goes, you know, doesn't go early or anything. But,
Is she gonna come over and start learning on?
yeah, she has been, she started last week. She came over a few days and so when she's, you know, not doing payroll and not in Mackenzie's office and then, so,
She'll be there when you start taking a lot of taxes in, so she knows what to do.
yeah, she did the mail a few days and yes, she should know by then how to do that. I'm not worried about that. And she does, since she does payroll, she's familiar with our, software, you know, the CIC, our financial system, so, the next step in a couple weeks, we're gonna teach her how to input, bills, so she can help with that also, so. So, anyway, I forgot to tell you.
Keeps life interesting.
That's something Todd's wanted for long.
So, well, just training someone outside for a few months, it's just like, I don't know. It takes more work than what it's, you know, so.
All right.
She doing the full family leave type time period, or what?
I don't know yet what she's, time frame. Probably depends on how everything goes
Right.
and, you know, so.
All right. More news? All right.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Okay, Barr,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Colkenbrink.
Yes.
My corner
We adjourn.
operation.